If you take a donut and set it on fire in a lab, a machine can tell you precisely how many calories it contains. And for decades, we've been told our bodies work pretty much the same way. But you know, that really simple idea is a huge misunderstanding of how biology actually works. See, your body doesn't have a little calorie counter ticking away inside. It operates on a much more sophisticated system. It speaks the language of molecular signals. We've all been taught to think of our bodies as just a simple furnace, right? Calories in, calories out. If you burn more than you eat, you lose weight. It sounds so simple, so logical. But honestly, this analogy completely falls apart the second you look at the incredible complexity of human metabolism.
Okay, so let's be perfectly clear about one thing. The first law of thermodynamics, it's non-negotiable. You absolutely cannot violate the laws of physics. Weight loss is physically impossible without creating a net energy deficit. Full stop. But, and this is a huge but, just acknowledging that physical law is only the beginning. It tells us nothing about how a living, breathing, biological system actually manages that energy.
So what happens when you just slash calories without sending the right signals? Well, your body fights back. It's a survival mechanism hardwired into us. Your metabolism actually slows down because your thyroid function gets suppressed. You start burning less energy through all those little subconscious movements, like fidgeting or tapping your foot. And most critically, your body starts to sacrifice its own metabolically active muscle for fuel. And this is the absolute kicker. You might actually achieve that energy deficit on paper. And yeah, the number on the scale might go down. The thermodynamic math totally works out. But the outcome for your health, it's fatigue, it's hormonal dysfunction, and it's the loss of the exact tissue you desperately need to stay healthy and strong for the long haul. So let's just throw out that old furnace analogy for good. A much better way to think about your metabolism is like a highly sophisticated chemical processing plant. And this plant doesn't count calories, it reads detailed instructions from the very molecules in your food, and then responds in a very specific way. All right, let's meet one of the key managers running this chemical plant. It's called mTORC1. That's pronounced mTORC1, and it stands for the mechanistic target of rapamycin complex 1. Now, this is a critical sensor inside your body, but the one thing it is not sensing is calories. You see, our bodies have this incredible, elegant, counter-regulatory network. It's like a seesaw. On one side, you've got mTORC1, which is our main build signal. It gets fired up by things like amino acids from protein, especially leucine, and by the tension from resistance training. Its job is to build new tissue. Then on the other side, you've got AMPK. Think of it as the fuel gauge. It senses when a cell's energy is getting low, and it flips the switch to start burning stored body fat for fuel.
What this really shows us is that our body is an incredibly intelligent system. I mean, it's constantly making these real-time decisions about whether it should build or repair or burn for fuel. And these decisions, they have nothing to do with some simple calorie number. They're based on the very specific molecular signals the body receives.
So, how does the body direct all this energy traffic? Well, a huge part of that job falls to one single hormone, insulin. The best way to think about insulin is as the body's primary traffic cop, telling all the incoming energy from your food exactly where to go and what to do.
Now, a really common misconception is that even a tiny bit of insulin completely locks up your body fat, making it impossible to burn. But it's so much more nuanced than that. A better analogy is to think of it less like an on-off light switch and more like a dimmer switch. The more insulin that's present, the more it dials down your ability to access and burn your stored body fat.
Okay, so here's how that works in the real world. You eat a meal that's heavy in carbohydrates, right? Your insulin levels spike up in response. This spike sends a signal to a key enzyme, the one that's in charge of releasing fat from your fat cells, and basically tells it to take a break. As a result, your ability to access that stored body fat is turned down, and your body prioritizes burning the energy that just came in the door from those carbs. So you can see how different food choices create entirely different hormonal environments. A diet that's consistently high in carbs keeps your baseline insulin levels high, which in turn keeps your ability to burn fat suppressed. A lower carb approach does the exact opposite. It keeps insulin low and tells your body, hey, it's a great time to tap into our stored energy. The main point here? The same number of calories can send vastly different instructions to your body.
Now, in the spirit of intellectual honesty, we have to talk about the counter-argument. There are tightly controlled metabolic ward studies out there, and they've shown that when you match calories and protein perfectly, the ratio of carbs to fat doesn't really seem to matter for fat loss, at least in the short term. And you know what? In that very specific, very controlled lab environment, that is absolutely true.
But this brings us to a much bigger question, doesn't it? What is the actual goal here? Is it just about reducing the number on the scale in the short term, no matter the cost? Or is it about achieving long-term metabolic health and a long, healthy life? Because out here in the real world, outside of a lab, chronic calorie restriction often leads to the loss of precious muscle mass. And why is that muscle so incredibly critical? Get a load of this number. Your skeletal muscle is responsible for disposing of roughly 80%, 80, of the glucose from your bloodstream after you eat a meal. It is a massive metabolic engine.
Think about what that actually means. Your muscle mass is your single greatest metabolic asset. It acts like a giant buffer, a sink for glucose that protects you from metabolic problems down the line. Losing that muscle is simply not a winning strategy for long-term health, period. What's really fascinating is that we're now discovering that muscle is so much more than just a machine for moving stuff around. It's a dynamic, active endocrine organ. It releases these powerful signaling molecules that talk to your entire body. We're also learning that it plays a huge role in our immune system, fundamentally linking our physical strength to our overall resilience. So, the ultimate takeaway here is that we need a fundamental shift in perspective. It's time to stop obsessively counting every single calorie. Instead, let's focus on providing our body with the high-quality signals it needs to build and maintain healthy tissue, all while efficiently using its own stored energy. It's time to stop counting and start signaling. Hey, if you found this breakdown helpful here on Adam Explains, do me a quick favor and hit that like button. And maybe share this with a friend who's still stuck in that old world of just counting calories. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next explainer. And hey, if there's a complex topic you'd like to see me break down, let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. Stay analytical.